Okay, here's the update. It started raining really bad. It's wet out, but we got the pad off of the inside or the outside of the firewall. This bracket came off. We were able to get all the bolts out of it, and the little thing for the steering column came out. I guess all we got left is the fuel cable and this bracket here, and this bracket holds in the air box there, and that gets rid of the pedal rack, and then it also gets rid of the brake booster here. And we, like I say, pulled the pad, pulled all the cables, pulled all this off here, got most of the fuel line bolts out. It's got like a rivet or something here in the front. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, we'll cut it off or get it out. The firewall is completely stripped. We're probably just going to take a sawzall, come through here, cut, start drilling all this off, pull the windshield out. Probably take a sawzall, cut the windshield out. It don't really matter. I just don't want to get it to where I can't get it out really easy. So what I might do is pull this transmission off here and everything but the steering rack, and cut this bolt off here, leave all that, put the wheels on it, that way we can pull it out. And also we got the motor back farther away. That took a little bit of an ordeal. Had to take and hook the Jeep up with the come along or the cherry picker and drag it out. And then all we got left is that inside piece. I got to clean it out to get into there. I don't think it'll be much more. And then we got that pad, and that's got that inside piece. Like I say, you just want to kind of hold off on that for a second. Next thing's next. We've got these bolts out. It's got one in the front up there we got to get out. And I got them all except for taking this shield off of the gas tank. Once we take it off, we can get the gas tank and the EVAP box out, and it's stripped. There's nothing else on it. I've even took all this other crap off it. I just had to take saws off, rod it in. But way up there in the front, we got one more. Either it's a pop rivet or something. I might have to take a chisel in there and cut it out. And that way we got all these keepers for the lines. Most of these lines are good till you get about right here, and then it was leaking fuel. So they're rotted. We have to figure out a way to hook up into these somewhere. Maybe straighten some of this out and tap in right here with a flared end that's actually bolts together instead of like the lines that we got on the brakes here. I really don't like those for brakes or fuel lines. You know, if you can get like a tool that'll make the flared end, and you got two bolts that'll come together and it'll tighten it up and it'll hold it. Better option. I got to get this plate, fuel tank, gas neck, EVAP box, and these lines off. But I got to take, and where that's down on that rail, it's covering up that one and then the pop rivet. So we got to hook up with the cherry picker, tie it back up, get it lifted back up, and pull these blocks out to get these two in the front. And then we just do the shield, the gas tank, and then that inside piece, and it's stripped. And then we need to figure out what we got to do. Pull that motor and transmission off of that with the brakes. So we'll just be hanging the brake calipers to the side and move it all as one piece, unbolt the transmission. I was maybe going to try to use this transmission box here as a way to shift the 4L60E. I watched another guy's little thing. Right there's the box. You know, you just got them wires. It only takes, you just got to ground out the solenoids to make them shift. But with those kits, you got to have like a TPS controller on it. You know, it's not super bad, but it's pretty expensive. And to make that work, I'm thinking, you know, you might be able to make the wires shift the 4L60E. Of course, you'd have to take two wiring harness splice together, whatever it is. Or you can take like a shifter, and when you bring it down into first gear, it just grounds it out, so it's actually shifting into first gear. And then when you go into 4 speeds, You got a toggle switch and you just flip it in to lock in the torque converter. A way to lock up the torque converter in overdrive, and you keep rolling. One way or another, we'll figure it out. What do we got to do? We might have to take some of the parts off of that, or cut down that wiring harness, or whatever we got to do. We'll figure it out. But that's what we got going on for this morning, and that was the update. Fuel lines, gas tank. Get this thing up, get this thing apart. Maybe throw a couple bolts back in it. 3 bolts, whatever it takes. You know, it'll be easy to pick up, and we can put the tires and the struts back on it, let it down, and it'll be stripped as far as that goes, except for the firewall. You know, I'd rather just cut the firewall out to where you could, you know what I'm saying, just kind of cut it out through here, stick it on the other one and make it work, because there's really nothing else that comes through there other than those holes. And you're probably going to have to cut it kind of low anyhow. I'd like to keep it to where I could keep the wheels on it and move it around if I need to. Instead of dragging it. I could drag it, but I really don't want to do that. You can put all the body panels back on it and just sit it down there and get it out of the way. So I was thinking about putting that motor down on that, but it sits down flush onto that. Now, you know, if you had another one of these cars, you could make you a little 4-wheel drive frame out of this for S10, make it front-wheel drive, body drop. Make a new frame for it, obviously, but it would probably work. Only thing I don't like about it, it's got the bolt holes coming up through the control arms. You know, figure out a different way to do that and just use these knuckles and make you an airbag truck. Just saying. Thought about it. That's what we're going to do today. I've got these guys coming in here early. They're leaving late, and then time they leave, it's too hot. And yesterday it started raining. I got out here yesterday morning, did a few little things, but we was able to get that mount off too. I needed that mount, so had to get all that. I think we only got like 4 bolts or something, and we can get the brake booster off, get the pedal rack off, and then we're just going to mainly focus on getting these lines all the way out, and the gas tank and the EVAP box off. We get all that and stripped out. Like I say, worst comes to worst, we have to take and cut out the firewall or the windshield with a Sawzall. We got to get this apart so we can use that cradle to stick back in to put these wheels and tires back on enough to let it down and get it out. And we can leave our parts in there or whatever. But it's stripped after that. I think with like 4 to 6 bolts on that, it gets the brake or the pedal rack off. Brake booster, we got lines, we got a fuel tank, and just a few little things. That's it. But like I say, I got to grab a hold of it with a cherry picker, pick it up to get those 2 out. Once we do that, we can get on to the lines and get the gas tank and the EVAP box off, and we'll call it good. And then hopefully we can pull it out, bring the truck down here, and kind of do what we need to do to it. I was waiting on the motor plate first. Like to have the motor plate. Once we get all this stripped out, we'll probably take them, wait till we get the motor plate. That way, when we take this motor straight off, we can put it straight into the truck. You know what I'm saying? And we know it'll fit the motor plate. Then we can figure out what we got to do as far as cutting this firewall off and making all that work without too much of a stink. And got somebody said I could bum a plasma cutter, so I don't want to start torching it until I know that's what has to be done. And I want all the heater and the AC controls and the brakes and all that to work. We're going to use brakes, everything, fuel lines, adaptive kit, whatever we got to do. Like I said, I watched a guy, he put a aftermarket Amazon air conditioning on it. If, you know, we could keep our firewall with our steering column and our dash pad, that way it matches, and, you know, just use the bottom stuff, like the rack, like the side rack, it goes side to side, get it mounted up, just use our dash over top of whatever's there, if you know what I'm saying. That way you don't have to cut it off. I mean, I could make all this work just by cutting out a patch out of that firewall. You just cut a patch out and weld it, tack weld it, get it fitting, get everything working, and take it apart, weld it out, spray paint it, stick it back together. We're building a driver, not a show truck.